Sure, my name is Adam Rivest, R-I-V-E-S-T, and I am show producer.
Can you talk about what are some, tick off some of the innovations in this attraction? What are some of the breakthroughs?
There's a lot of innovations in the attraction. We hit a lot of them because we wanted to use them to tell the story. I mean, obviously the big one is the trackless vehicle. This is a new piece for us. But I think it's really cool that you get this giant vehicle, completely autonomous, moving through the jungle, and we put nothing between you and the story. No track, nothing, just the road.
Can you go in a little more detail about the vehicle's movements? There's a lot of rough movement, especially out here. Is any of that internal to the vehicle, or is all the shaking done through shaker tables?
It's a combination of both. Outside, there's no motion bases, so that's all built into the track.
That's all just elevation changes.
There's also the vehicle has active steering on the front and back axle, so there's these really cool feelings where the whole back end kind of fishtails.
Crab steering.
Depending on where you're sitting in it, so it gives you a great feel. And then of course, in some of the big show scenes, there's motion bases that'll shake it along with the media.
Can you talk about the queue experience and just kind of what you wanted to accomplish there to set up the ride in the first place?
Sure. So the queue is very immersive. We wanted to get you out of a comfort zone and put you a place that you've never been and where you don't know what's going to come at you. So Skull Island, a big part of the story is the natives and their presence on the island. So you guys didn't get to experience it this morning. We actually have live scare actors.
Oh yeah,
they were in there.
Oh, did you get there this morning?
Yeah, they were.
Good. Wow, they were up early today. Natives are up with the sunrise. So yeah, we have the live actors in the queue, which is something that we've never done before, and it just helps build, that suspense, getting you onto the attraction so that you're in a world where you don't really know what's going to happen. The Shaw woman, who you all saw, she's one of the native elders, and she's the only word you understand because she's speaking in her language is Kong. Her actual words is she's giving you a warning, and Torre Kong means beware Kong. So we're kind of giving you a hint that the natives know something's going on that we haven't figured out.
That means beware Kong in what language?
In her language. It's her language.
Okay.
Yep, it's the natives in Skull Island.
Can you compare and contrast the Hollywood version of Kong with this version in terms of the media part,
Right, so
the 3D part?
our scene 6, we followed their format. We reanimated and redid all of the media. So this is 4K, 60 frames per second, really high def, but we had to change the story. If you've seen it out in Hollywood, you know that the other tram comes up and hits us, and we don't have trams, we're not on a tram, so obviously we had to make some adjustments so that it fit our story and kept it all in Skull Island.
Can you talk about the different drivers of your vehicle?
So there's 5 different drivers, 4 on the track at any given time. Each one, so Becky is our kind of cowgirl in the story. Kalana, her ancestry comes from the island. Jinx is an ex-con who wanted to get a new start and kind of get away from everything, so he came out here. Will is actually like a young sailor guy. Will's uncle is Carl Denham, our story is that Will goes back and tells his uncle Carl about everything he's seen on the island, and that's the 1933 expedition. And then we got Doc, who's a paleontology student, and he's here exploring some of the creatures on the island. So as you're going around, depending on what vehicle you get on, each one of them tells the story a little bit differently in their own way based on their experiences.
Are all 5 currently on site? I have yet to see Becky.
Becky will be on site soon.
Okay.
What can you talk to us about the Kong animatronic, in the final scene, kind of any innovations you did there, and also kind of a callback to the original attraction that was here years ago?
So Kong, obviously, it's Skull Island Reign of Kong, and we wanted to make sure that we presented him as accurately as we could. There's a lot of animation in his face. He's got so much emotion, and we wanted to be able to portray that. So we spent a lot of time working with him and just getting out, the emotion from him. We thought it was really important that we portrayed Kong in the physical sense in the end of the attraction. So that's why we spent a lot of time with him. And then tie back to the original, Kong all the way back to the beginning of Universal Pictures. 1933 was the first Kong movie. It's a huge part of Universal's history. We had Kongfrontation over at the other park, and it was Kong in New York. We wanted to do something a little different, but bring him back. He's a big part of our family. So putting Kong here on Skull Island just presents him in a whole different way.
Adam, could you kind of talk about how this comes from an idea to what we're looking at today?
A lot of hard work. A lot. The Great Wall behind you, every piece of rock in this attraction is hand carved. So there's 70,000 man hours just in that wall. to get that done. So, we come up with stories and we try to develop backstory. We figure out what the key piece is and, how to tell that story. This ride's about 6 minutes and 10 seconds, which is one of our longest on property. And we still, we're pushing to get all the story out there because there's a lot to tell. It's a big piece of history. But it's a lot of work, it's a lot of man hours, and we want to make sure that we present it correctly. So we take that time to make sure that you end up with something this big individually.
I think it's interesting that this attraction has one of the lowest height requirements of any ride in the park, but it's also got probably the scariest queue and aesthetics of anything in the park. What kind of demographic were you guys shooting for when designing this?
I mean, so the ride height is 36 inches, and that's all based on safety with the vehicle. The vehicle is pretty tame, the motions aren't too bad, and it's contained. So we can lower the height. So it's really up to families and parents to figure out, some kids love it, some kids hate it. So it's really, we have warnings posted and it's up to the families to decide,
See, if they can survive the queue, they can probably handle the ride.
That was our thought, yes.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because the child swap is placed in such a way, your kid can't even make it to the child swap without getting the crap scared out of them.
Yes and no. Express bypasses this character area.
Well, that's an interesting, that was my follow-up question. I know currently this attraction does not offer express. Is it designed so that it could offer express? Because I've walked through this queue a million times, I can't tell where you would put the express. I see where single rider is, but it seems like unless you got rid of single rider and used single rider as express, I can't see where you would put an express queue.
This queue is designed to have a VIP lane as well as an express queue.
It's well hidden then.
We try.
What's the
Last question, guys.
capacity
Capacity of this?
of the vehicle?
Vehicles hold 72 people.
2-minute load cycle.
Thanks very much.
Awesome, yeah. 72 people and we dispatch about every 122 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say enormous capacity.
Yeah.